सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पार्षदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So
Hare
Virat, can you share
Krishna.
this? Hare Krishna, can you share the screen, Virat?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, can you share the screen? So we're discussing about hearing, right? Yes. Yeah, so 7.2, but 7.1 I was just yesterday concluding, talking about how they have to hear from bona fide source. And and that's how we can become convinced of Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we hear from a bona fide Guru Parampara. So otherwise, all the other kinds of knowledge, what you get is a speculative knowledge. Save and accept the knowledge which you hear from Guru Parampara. Because when the knowledge which somebody speaks, adding, subtracting something, then becomes its own speculation, his own speculation. So that's why that knowledge will not help us. So hearing the pure transcendental sound vibration coming from Guru Parampara will make us fully realized souls. And we can attain full devotional service to the Lord. So this is a very important point, that we have to hear from a bona fide source. And this verse is Prabhupada quoted in the purport, saying that to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, it is still righteous activities. No? So hearing from Krishna directly when Krishna is speaking about himself, and also hearing the knowledge directly from the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, as it is, given by the acharyas. Krishna only has spoken Bhagavad Gita or any Vedic literature. Krishna only, from him only it has come. But we have to hear the words of Krishna, meaning not distorting the real import of those words spoken by the Lord through Vedic literatures. That's why we had to take shelter of the Guru Sishya Parampara, one of our acharyas, because they make sure the words of Krishna are not distorted. So that's why it is important to take shelter of the acharya. So I was today hearing, and in the Upanishad it is written, Prabhupada says also very nicely that he says, uh, somebody sometimes trying to understand Krishna through Vedas, may be very difficult. He may not be able to understand. But it's very easy for one to understand Krishna if he hears from a devotee. He hears from a devotee. So this is a very important factor. So if you hear from a pure devotee, you can understand Krishna is a Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. Because sometimes somebody may be hearing the Vedas or reading the Vedas, but he may not be having the right understanding, because of his own speculative mind sometimes. That is one thing. And second thing is sometimes maybe going to the Vedas, and which sometimes some people have got some kind of distorted meaning out of it. That's another problem. So it has to go hand in hand, meaning that we have to hear the Vedic literatures, taking shelter of bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara, under the guidance of bona fide Acharya and the bona fide Guru. This is how we have to learn the Vedas. So it is not that we just take the Vedas and understand Krishna. It's difficult. So he says that as he hears more about Krishna from Bhagavatam and from the devotees, see, that's how he writes. Even hears Krishna, it comes in after the series of verses. Says that as he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service by the Lord. See, this is very important. So you have to hear about Krishna. See, here it says, as he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. So to hear from the Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, and from the devotees, then you can become fixed in devotional service. And by devotional service, then automatically all the contamination goes away. No, tatharajastamo baha kamadesha. So everything goes away. No, kamalobhadayasya. Chete etarana viddam satam satya prasidati. Then one is situated in mode of goodness, mode of pure goodness eventually. So bhakti severs the hard knot of material affection. So all our material affections are basically because of material contamination. Three modes of material nature. So mainly mode of passion and ignorance. So because of that only all these different kinds of attachments are there. Hard knot of material affection is there. So by performing devotional service, this knot gets cut. There is no other way to cut it actually. All other paths, they may be very strenuous and one may have to do a lot of hard work, but it still is difficult to cut those hard knots. But bhakti is a very sublime process. It just dissolves those hard knots. Like imagine you have to untie the hard knot, but if you take the fire and burn that whole thing only, then everything becomes completely dissolved, burnt. How bhakti works. Bhakti completely dries or burns the hard knot of material affection. So only by hearing from Kṛṣṇa, from his devotee, in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, can one understand the science of Kṛṣṇa. So this process is very clearly told. So one has to hear from devotee and from Kṛṣṇa. So process is to hear the Vedic literatures, Gita, Bhagavatam, under the guidance of a bona fide devotee. Bhagavad Padiya, Bhagavad Asthane. That's what is being told. One should read and hear and understand Bhagavatam under the guidance of a Bhagavata. So there are two kinds of Bhagavata. It's called Book of Grantha Bhagavat and Vyakti Bhagavat. Grantha Bhagavat means the Gita, Bhagavatam, so Grantha Bhagavatam. And Vyakti Bhagavat means the person who is living example of Srimad Bhagavatam. That means he is imbibing those teachings and he has pure devotion for the Supreme Lord. He is living Bhagavatam. So it's called Vyakti Bhagavat. So for us, both are important. And Vyakti Bhagavat is sometimes more important also, sometimes. Because by Vyakti Bhagavat, you can also get faith in Grantha Bhagavat. Of course, if you read Grantha Bhagavat, coming from Guru Shishya Parampara, like somebody reads Srimad Bhagavatam, will also get faith in Vyakti Bhagavat. Helped in both ways. Both are very important. So we have to learn Srimad Bhagavatam from Grantha Bhagavat, Vyakti Bhagavat. Like that. So under the guidance of Vyakti Bhagavat, we have to understand Grantha Bhagavat. That's how our devotional program will become successful. Like that. Because you can actually look up to the example of Vyakti Bhagavat. Sometimes Grantha Bhagavat you may read, but you may not understand how to live by that. That's why Vyakti Bhagavat becomes very important for you. So the Vyakti Bhagavat will teach you by his examples how to live a life of devotion, how to deal different situations in devotional spirit, humility, tolerance, and devotion. How can we apply those teachings in our life? So this is how Vyakti Bhagavat becomes very important. Just like hippies, they became simply attached to Srila Prabhupada, who was a Vyakti Bhagavat. And because of they did not know much about Gita, Bhagavatam, or Kṛṣṇa, anything. But just because they became attached to Vyakti Bhagavat, Srila Prabhupada, then they got all the benefits. And they eventually became attached to Grantha Bhagavat also, and Kṛṣṇa also, and everything. So everything came up. And of course, because Srila Prabhupada has given such pure presentation in his books, so Grantha Bhagavat also somebody reads. Sometimes some people can become nice devotees just by reading Grantha Bhagavat, and then they start associating with devotees and take shelter of Guru also. There are cases like that, because Srila Prabhupada himself is present in his book also. So in one sense, somebody who reads Srila Prabhupada books gets the association of Srila Prabhupada also in that sense. So that's why Prabhupada books are very powerful, not just ordinary books. Prabhupada is very much present there in his book. So that way one gets association of Srila Prabhupada also, Vyakti Bhagavat, through his books. Okay, so let's read the further verse. jñānam teham sa-vijñānam idam vakṣyāmi aśeṣataḥ jñātvā neha bhūyo nyaj jñātavyam avaśiṣyate. I shall not describe unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Purport, complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Kṛṣṇa's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, And it again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas Muṇḍaka Upaniṣad 1.1.3 says, kasminn bhagavo vignate sarvam idam vignatam bhavanti. Yeah. So it says the transcendental knowledge is a complete knowledge, which Kṛṣṇa is saying that I will be imparting on you. So what Kṛṣṇa is talking about is transcendental knowledge, which is complete knowledge. It includes phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, the source of both of them, that is Kṛṣṇa. That's complete knowledge. Knowledge in this world is maybe just only phenomenal knowledge, just maybe some material knowledge. But they may not talk about spirit, they may not talk about God, Kṛṣṇa. That's what Kṛṣṇa, Prabhupada writes other place also. Knowledge means knowledge of matter, spirit, and control of both. He says that. So he wants to explain Arjuna, this transcendental knowledge, because Arjuna is a confidential devotee and friend, he says. Bhaktosi me sakha cheti. That means Arjuna is a devotee as well as his friend. So Kṛṣṇa says that complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. So this we have already discussed, that how it is very important. So devotee can give Kṛṣṇa very clearly. Devotee will say, take Kṛṣṇa. Here is Kṛṣṇa, take it. So you can simply receive Kṛṣṇa. But if you go through Vedas, trying to read extraneously Vedas and so many scriptures, you may not come to the conclusion of Kṛṣṇa being the supreme authority sometimes. Yeah. So you may get not get clarity due to lack of association of pure devotee. So therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, one who is the cause of all causes and the only object for meditation in all times of that is Kṛṣṇa. Through devotee, one can easily get to know that. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known. Because once you know the cause, then everything can be known. Just like if you know the creator of a machine, then you can know everything about that machine. It becomes easy because the creator can reveal you so many things, purpose and everything. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. Unlike that. So that does not mean that one has to know everything. Means okay, how many hairs are there on my head? That doesn't mean that. That means whatever is required for one to go back to Godhead to perfect his life, everything becomes known to him like that. Whatever is required for him to know to perfect his life, or to help others to perfect their lives, will be known. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he came to West, Prabhupada was not like from the scholarly perspective, from like he was not some great scientist or something like that. But Prabhupada could actually defeat the greatest scientist also because of his being a devotional scholar. Means he was completely in shelter of the Lord. So everything, whatever is supposed to be spoken to defeat that false arguments, Kṛṣṇa gave intelligence to Srila Prabhupada like that. So that's why the secret of devotee of his, how he becomes so confident and fearless in preaching Krishna consciousness, because he takes full shelter of the Supreme Lord. And that's how whatever is required for him to execute his Krishna consciousness and to help others to become pure devotees is completely known by that devotee, by the grace of the Lord. So I'll continue tomorrow. I'll pause here. Okay. Any reflection anybody has? Any reflection, any question?
So I was hearing this, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was hearing this lecture from Srila Prabhupada this morning. He said the same thing actually. This Vedic knowledge is a revelation. It is being revealed actually for those who surrender unto Krishna. Like he was quoting that verse, Bhagavad Gita was Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Rami Buddhi Yenamam Kuyantiti. Yeah.
Yes.
And you are saying that thing.
Trying to be in parampara. We are all trying to be in parampara. You're also in parampara. That's why you're repeating what Prabhupada said. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. You should try to be in parampara. Yeah, that's true. So Vedic knowledge is revealed as we more surrender to Krishna. It is revealed. And we surrender by surrendering to devotees, so pure devotee, by surrendering to his instructions and execute those instructions with full heart, with full enthusiasm. Okay, let's pause
Just
here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda
right.
ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.